Hey guys, welcome back. Here is a story of how Mgtow dodged a bullet and is living well off. Let's listen.
This was a few years ago. Luckily I was already red pill at the time, but it demonstrates the female mindset so well from so many different angles. Anyways, I had a female family member insist I go meet one of her co-workers that was close to my age. So I finally cave in and go on a blind date with her. Turns out she was pretty hot, had a decent job, so at least wasn't a total financial train wreck, and was fun just to spend time with. So we hit it off and date for about 6 months. It became quite apparent about a month into it that she wanted to move in with me, and was looking to get real serious really fast. But I wasn't dumb enough to do that. Also during that time, her and my relative that hooked us up sort of evolved from a casual co-worker relationship to BFFs, with me being their favorite topic of conversation. Now my family is one of those ones with no secrets in it. So pretty much I end up dating this girl who spends more time talking to my mom and my aunt about me than she spends talking me about us. My mom and aunt also become very pushy in the relationship, as they both viewed this girl as a great slave master for me. Like literally the first time we spent the night together, her phone rings at 7:30 the next morning and it's my aunt asking, "How did last night go?" So needless to say, it only lasted about 6 months because things just keep getting worse and worse. It was so ridiculous having an annoying relative get on your case every time you say something your girl didn't want you to say, so I end up breaking it off. Like if she did something I didn't agree with and I let her know, she'd cry to my aunt, who would then bitch at me for being a dick, or if I said or did something not up to her expectations, she'd cry to my aunt, and I'd have an aunt on my case about it. I just remember her telling me the last time we talked face to face, "Even your own mother said you're a jerk." I'm just thinking, what the fuck? Is she really so stupid to throw something in my face that one of my family members told her, when my biggest reason I just had given her for why things were not going so well with us was the fact that she has to give the play-by-play on everything to my family members, who are way too fucking intrusive and pushy in our relationship. Especially after being asked more than once to stop running her mouth so much. Well that, and I'm thinking, thanks mom. So fast forward about a year from that point. The family member who set us up has to give me the play-by-play on that girl's life. She had to tell me all about her new boyfriend, how she got an apartment with him, how funny he was, how he makes so much more money than I do, how happy she is with him, how they just went on a trip together, blah blah blah. All the typical girl bullshit just to try to make me feel like I messed up. Literally. My own relative trying to make me feel like I'm a loser for not being with some girl that from my perspective just brought a ton of fucking drama into my life, even though that same family member was one of the biggest reasons I couldn't stand to be with her. So my plan the whole time had been to give her no reaction when she talked about that shit, and just reply with generic shit like, "Oh that's nice," or "good for her," like shit you'd say if your mom tells you she ran into some kid that grew up down the road that you could care less about, but felt the urge to update you on what he's been up to. I literally wanted to give no reaction, because not only could I not give my aunt the satisfaction of her thinking I thought I made a mistake, but I definitely couldn't let her go run her mouth to the ex about me being jealous or having regrets or whatever. It was like a giant mind game that went on for a year. I couldn't let the women win, and I totally won. Well, I'm winning, I should say. It's still going on more than 5 years later, and I'm pretty sure it won't ever end. So needless to say, after about a year of not talking to or contacting that girl at all, I get a phone call from her one afternoon. Of course I don't pick it up. It ends up going to voicemail. The voicemail was very clearly a thud, like someone putting a phone down on a table. It was then just about a minute of a TV very clearly playing in the background. Clear enough, you could make out what the voices were saying on a couple commercials before it hit its time limit and hung up. I just erase it and don't think much of it, as I had erased her number out of my phone, and hadn't realized who it was at that point, but the girl starts texting me the next morning, saying hey it's X, sorry for but dialing you. I just reply with something generic like no problem. I knew it was complete bullshit. If she had sat on her phone and it dialed me, she'd have been sitting on it, her ass and her cushion would not have made a thud, and you wouldn't be able to clearly hear a TV playing. I only gave her any response because I figured I could at least take the high road. More so, I didn't want to be a prick for the sole reason that I knew word would get back to my aunt if I was, and it was just extra drama, whereas I'd love to continue my game of her trying to get a reaction from me, and me not giving her a fucking thing. Over the next few hours, she continues to text me, asking about school, the dog, work, all kinds of shit trying to spark a conversation up, but I just ignore her, and I eventually get a text that just says, well sorry if I bothered you. Up until that point I was at work anyhow, so I figured it was all perfect. I'd be totally set up to play it off like the irrelevant event it was if my aunt brought it up. So later that afternoon after work, I see that aunt. Literally the first thing she says to me, I heard X but dialed you. Instantly I know, even more so than I had suspected, it wasn't a random but dial. If you accidentally dialed an X, you'd probably act like it didn't happen, and hope they don't call back, not proceed to send them a half a dozen texts trying to get them talking, and you certainly wouldn't have to call someone just to tell them about it. It just wouldn't have been a big deal, especially for someone who moved on to such a better relationship. So I continue to win at my game. Just give her some generic response like, no big deal, it happens. Now where it starts to get really good. The first chance my uncle had that same afternoon, where it was just me and him with no women around. He gets this big old shit-eating grin, and he's like, I gotta tell you about X's boyfriend. He just got arrested, he got popped for possession of an unregistered firearm, possession of weed and ecstasy, and soliciting a prostitute. My uncle knew the whole deal between me, the girl, and my aunt. He even had been telling my aunt since the whole thing started a year and a half earlier, to back off from me, it's none of her business. Which is why he was so delighted to tell me some shitty news. As he knew my aunt had tried to make me feel like a loser that missed out on a goddess for a solid year at that point. I made sure to just kinda give him a generic response, with not much reaction too, as I knew he's a bit of a mangina, and anything I did say in response would ultimately find my aunt's ear, but in reality, I'm doing everything I can not to burst the fuck out laughing my ass off. Looking back on that, it fits so many of the traits red pillers have come to expect from women. Obviously the girl was very manipulative, as she knew she was trying to use my family as leverage, as they would push me to give her what she wanted. Luckily I realized this pretty quickly and wasn't stupid enough to let her live with me or anything. The hive mentality was in clear play. Notice how even my own female relatives were more than eager to jump on the woman's side, and not even once ask me for my opinion or thoughts on the relationship. It was all about one narcissistic woman trying to get what she wanted, and two other women helping one of their own to enslave a man. Even after it ended, it was still two enablers trying to mindfuck me and get me to give them any sort of decent reaction just so they could ego stroke the ex. Basically the entire thing from start to finish was all about the women. None of them gave a shit how I felt or what I wanted. And ultimately I just chose to walk away from the drama and keep my sanity. At which point it suddenly became all about me. I was the reason things didn't work out. None of them had any blame in it. Obviously when I walked off of their plantation, it became about me for the first time, because they realized the only thing they can do when they hold no power over you is try to shame you. Like we all know feminists love to do so much. So what really motivated me to write all this? Well, another thing commonly spoken of Mgtows is living well. Since that all went down, I've continued to invest in me and improve my life. I'm still active and in shape, I'm done with school, I got a great job and my finances are looking nice for someone my age. I still keep in touch with some great friends I've had for a long time, and overall I'm pretty damn happy with my place in life right now. It feels great to be at a point in life where you literally have no stress and no drama. As far as the girl goes, she ended up marrying that same dude. Updates from my aunt have been quite a bit less since the wedding, so I'm guessing it's not so sunny in paradise anymore, but either way I really don't care. I don't hate the girl, and honestly don't want to see bad shit happen to her. I'm just indifferent to her and would prefer to hear nothing over good or bad news. When I was younger, a dirty old man I knew once asked me if I knew why women closed their eyes during sex. I did not know. He told me, because women hate to see a man having a good time. At the time I just thought it to be a silly joke and didn't think much into it, but looking back on it now, that man packed more wisdom into 2 lines than most college professors can pack into a semester. Leave well, men. When take care of yourself, and always give yourself goals to work towards, it makes it easy to look forward and have no regrets. It also starts a chain reaction, as living well makes it easy to have a big old smile on your face while you look ahead, and since we know women hate to see a man having a good time, it pisses off women that are unable to control you, which in turn makes your smile a bit bigger.
And let's remember, be careful, be safe out there. What better way to save a brother than sharing your story? Send your stories to redpill.story@gmail.com. Contribute at patreon.com/redpillstory. Contribute directly through PayPal at redpill.story@gmail.com. If you like to hear more of these experiences, comment, rate and subscribe. Don't forget to bang the bell. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/storyredpill. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/storyredpill. To avoid attacks from social justice warriors, follow me on gab.ai at gab.ai/storyredpill. Cheers. See you tomorrow.